Over the last few years, since the property crash in around about 2007, there has been a lot of individuals with serious difficulties in terms of debt, serious problems with banks getting mortgages or judgment mortgage rather on their property and so on. There's a recent, or not a recent, but a 2009 decision there, February of 2019 rather, decision of the High Court in relation to a case involving ACC Bank and a family called Fridays. I think they're from County Offaly. But in this particular case, it's interesting because the bank had secured a judgment mortgage on the registered property folios of the borrowers and the registered owners, William and Vanda Friday. And they got a judgment in 2009 for 1.3 million. Over the course of the years then, there was applications by ACC Bank to get a well charging order and then to get an order for sale of the property. However, in 2014, two people registered inhibitions on the folios in question. And those two people were the mother, Lavinia, and brother, Richard, of the first defendant, William. So just to be clear, there's borrowers, husband and wife, William and Vanda Friday. And there's a judgment against them for 1.3 million. ACC Bank have registered a judgment on their folios, 5 folios in County Offaly, I understand. ACC Bank then want to get a well charging order and sell the property to try to recover as much of the money as they can. And then in 2014, the mother and brother of the first named registered owner and defendant, William Friday, registers inhibitions with the Property Registration Authority. An inhibition or a caution or a lis pendens is a burden on a property folio, and it has a chilling effect on anybody who might be considering purchasing the property, because they will look at it and say, I don't know what the story is there, or there's obviously a dispute. Lis pendens means litigation pending, and a potential purchaser is not going to want to get involved in any sort of a dispute or a protracted application to get the burden removed from the folio and so on. So registering an inhibition or a caution or a lis pendens makes it very difficult, quite frankly, for any bank, any lender to sell the property. So the ACC Bank then went to the High Court, and they basically went to the High Court and asked the High Court to exercise its discretion to set aside or cancel the inhibitions that were registered by the Property Registration Authority. And the High Court decided that it would exercise its discretion and would set aside or cancel the inhibitions on the basis that the inhibitions were, quite frankly, registered in order to frustrate or thwart the effort of the banks to move on its judgment and to enforce its judgment. It's an interesting case, and the timeline, the chronology of what happened and so on is very, very important, because the judgment was first obtained in 2009. There was affidavits sworn by the registered owners, William and Vanda, in 2011 in respect of the judgment mortgage application, and yet at that time there was no claim or no assertion by the registered owners, William and Vanda, that anybody else had an interest, a beneficial interest in the property. Incidentally, the mother and the brother of the first named defendant claimed a beneficial interest in the property on the basis that I think they had advanced money for the purchase of the land, or that they were involved in some sort of a joint enterprise, a joint partnership arrangement for the farming of the land. But in any event, they had made a contribution to the land down through the years. They made a contribution to the business. They might have made a contribution to the original purchase of the land. But in any event, they were claiming a beneficial interest. But the chronology, the timeline, is what allowed the court to set aside and cancel the inhibitions, because it said basically this argument was never canvassed by the registered owners in 2009, 10 or 11, and it was only then after that in 2014 when the inhibitions were registered with the consent of the registered owners that the inhibitions were registered on the folios, and that created a difficulty for the ACC Bank. Hope you find this video useful. You might give it a thumbs up down below if you do, and you may be interested in subscribing to my YouTube channel.